Happy Halloween! Welcome to a brand new edition of the Build Series. I'm Kevin Kenny, and over 3 million people around the world stream our next guest's music monthly over on Spotify. Her brand new, highly anticipated album, Heart to Mouth, is out everywhere December 7th. Please, let's give a very warm Build welcome to our guest, LP. Happy Halloween.
And to you.
Are you going trick-or-treating later?
No.
No. You're gonna skip that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm always in a certain costume or something like that. Isn't
Those
that what we all are?
Yeah, exactly. We're all pretending to be something, right?
I think it's really funny, though. I did fly. I had a show in Vegas, like, 2 Halloweens ago, and I had, like, just normal, stuff on. I wasn't dressed up or whatever. And every time, like, all the people that worked at the airport kept going, I got it, man, like Keith Richards or something. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, wow, that's what people really think of me when I'm like walking through, like I'm like a cartoon or something. It's funny.
Well, that's how you know you're doing something right. What's Vegas like on Halloween?
It's a zoo,
Yeah.
like every other day, but like especially then, it's just funny. It's like redundant.
Yeah.
Basically.
Exactly. Well, I always like when we have New Yorkers on the show. We had Ace Frehley, a proud Bronx native,
Nice.
recently. It's just I don't know. The Build is such a New York show between the set, and we're just 4th Street right there. And then you grew up, I guess, a little bit city, a little bit suburbs, right? So which
Yeah.
each?
A little bit of Brooklyn, a little bit of Long Island, a little bit upstate, a little bit back to Manhattan.
Wow. So you've just been all over the place. Is that all growing up, or is that now in the adulthood?
That's in and around, and some post grown up.
Do you have a preference?
L.A.
L.A. Really? Okay.
No, just kidding. I think Manhattan is, my jam for sure.
Yeah. Why Manhattan, not all the boroughs?
I don't know. It's just it's the hardest. I like a challenge.
Yeah.
I think it's like the harshest to me. Like Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn. But I think like for me, the true grit has been here. Like just the folklore is here for me.
Yeah.
Personally. But I don't know. I think it's like the whole if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like, but ultimately for my life, I think moving to LA or moving to California really changed my whole deal. I feel like I just found my creative like muse in that place. It just, yeah.
What do you think? It's funny because I feel like some people go out there and they don't find it at all. It's just
No,
too
true.
slow, especially as a native
Yeah.
New Yorker. So what was it
Yeah.
for you?
Maybe I needed to slow it down. I think it's also New York is too vertical for me. I think creatively, I just there were like months where I don't look up in the sky. Like I just like very it. I think I feel like it hemmed me in a bit. In comparison, because I feel like I just opened up creatively, writing wise, so much more on the West Coast. So.
Did New York make you too hard or too stiff, you think, as an artist?
Maybe. I mean, it's just like, I wasn't as loose, So, but, and I love New York, so, and I get to come back here like multiple times a year. So, and now, like I stay in hotels now, which is kind of trippy because, you never, when you live here, you're like, you don't even think about hotels or anything. Like, it doesn't even seem like hotels exist here, even though obviously they do. Hotel bars, yeah, sure. But, not really hotels.
There's actually rooms in those bars above them.
Yeah. People are actually living lives.
Yeah.
Traveling, if you will.
Did I read this right? Just getting back to your roots here in New York. Were you really into sports growing up?
I was. I played soccer my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, do I have this part right? Where it really wasn't until the loss of your mother, was it, that you really got into music? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I just, I felt like life was short, I was like, what? I was raised to be like a doctor or a lawyer, and I feel like I just really, I didn't want to be either of those things, really. I just didn't really want to be in school enough to warrant doing those things, and it took me a while to be able to comprehend that you could try to go for something other than that, because I didn't really, I honestly couldn't fathom it. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even believe, like I never even thought about moving to the West Coast. That's why I think it holds such, I feel like it was my own, like I feel like the first of my family, which I think I am, to like live out there, to move out there. And I just feel like it's mine, and I feel like I came to it myself, went there on my own thought. You know, there was no. It was just like so, such a different tact for me than I was taught.
It's interesting you say that because a quote that you recently shared comes to mind about your creative process and how it's changed specifically with the release of the new music. And that I guess previously it may have felt like to you as an artist that you were making music, you were creating art, and it was like this big city with all these little streets that you had to pay attention to each and little avenue,
Yeah.
right? And now it's more of a, I think you've described it as a major highway where all of these thoughts and this consciousness, they're coming from one central location. Is that
Yeah.
is that akin to kind of what you were talking about and carving something out that's yours?
Yeah, well, I just feel less, my expression song-wise is somewhat less convoluted than it was, you know? Like, I feel like I truly can get to the meat of what I'm saying easier. And I think that's just from, like, you know, writing songs and continuing to write songs. You know, I don't think, I don't think for me, it didn't come easily. It took me, you know, over and over, you know, succession of, like, work and songs that went nowhere, you know, or did and then did. I also learned to like let go of songs, you know, let them just not put anything on them. Like, you know, sometimes you get like I think in the beginning when you're trying to get somewhere, you're always like, or I did this. I would write a song and be like, this is the one. This is gonna do something. I think this feels like something, you know, and then get like kind of like tripped out if like it didn't, like if someone didn't say something about it or whatever, and then I just stopped doing that. I just kept writing and writing, and even if I wrote something everybody was like freaking out about, I just kept writing.
Right.
Because there's it's nothing more to do anyway, you know, like even if you have a great song, they're going to want another great song. So
Do you see any parallel personally between your newfound ability to let go of songs and also having to no, and also have
newfound ability.
well, it sounds like it's a new development
Like-
for you artistically. Do you find any parallel between letting go of songs and letting go of people? I mean, we're gonna get into recovery in a little bit, but that's a song about letting go of someone special.
That's a deep question there. Letting go of people. Well, I don't let go of people as easily as I should sometimes, I guess, or like to, you know. But I'm glad I don't, you know, they're people. They shouldn't be disposable, you know. I think I definitely hold on to things, and then I also I think, you know, as a writer, it's like being an actor in a way. You know, you're drawing on your personal experience to express yourself and to reach places emotionally that you can share with other people, you know. It's invaluable. So, I mean, and I've noticed that I can like take years to express something that I went through, or I can, you know, write 100 songs about the same experience. It happens.
When you say you take years to write about or express something you went through, is that expressing it in the most accurate way, or is that addressing it at all as an artist?
I think addressing it at all, you know. I mean, I think I try to really go there in my head, like kind of feel like I'm there again, you know, when I'm writing about something. And sometimes it's like, you know, this record in particular, I feel like it's there's a lot of tone in it, you know, as far as like I feel like it reminds me of when, you know, when you have a dream and you wake up from the dream and you're like you don't remember exactly what happened, but something felt really bad. Like it was like it was like this, you know, like those anxiety dreams. But sometimes it's like I just wake up and I'm like, wow, that was the saddest dream I've ever had in my life, you know, and it's so upsetting. The tone of it'll stick with me all day, but I'm desperately trying to rack my brain and figure out what it was, you know.
Do you ever have that with thoughts, like throughout the day? Because I have that with thoughts where I'll be like, wait, I was just thinking about something, and it made me really happy. So I was like, and then you try to like go back through the past couple thoughts you've had, or like, oh wait, that really bummed me out. Or that scared me. You know what I mean?
know what you mean. Like
Yeah.
you'll have something that bothers you, and then like 5 or 10 minutes later, you're still like, you're like, God, I would feel great if this one thing wasn't bothering me.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what was that one thing? And then you're like, oh yeah, it's when so and so told me that so and so said this
Exactly.
about that situation, and then you're like, jeez, that's heavy. I hate that, you know.
You've described yourself as a happy person, a happy artist that's able to sort of get low when you want to get low, or maybe have access to very low moments
Yeah.
or low emotions. What do you think it is about you as a person that gives you access to that?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm just like, I'm kind of chill about things, but I'm kind of like just my emotional pendulum is very severe. You know, like I can go right into the depths, and then I'm out. You know, it's just like I have anger like that too. Could wreck this place in 2 seconds, and then be like,
Please don't. Is that just passion though? At the end of the day,
maybe,
yeah,
yeah,
just tapping into it.
yeah, I think so.
What's the difference
Yeah.
between as an artist paralyzing lows and maybe a darkness that's paralyzing, and then darkness that is actually conducive to creating and you can actually use as an instrument?
Well, sometimes I think that's just time. You know,
Okay.
I've had times where I just can't process, or I can't sing. You know, like I had a song where I couldn't. I was supposed to do background vocals for it this day, and I was like breaking up with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, I couldn't even sing. I was like, it's like the literal meaning of choked up. I couldn't like utter a note, and it's like, and there's been times on stage I felt like that, but I have to have to act my way out of it.
Yeah, it gets back to the acting, right?
Yeah.
Be good acting.
Theater.
Well, let's talk about recovery because there's so much to unpack here. You're talking about drawing from personal experiences. What's really fascinating about this song to me is that you wrote it initially from the disposition of your ex. And then, if I have this correct, after you wrote it, you found yourself in the same position.
Yeah, yeah. I was like a lot of songs that I have. I write them to myself to get myself out of a situation or to feel better about a situation. And that song, I definitely I realized that it wasn't cool of me or nice of me to. It wouldn't be cool or nice to keep trying to stay in that person's life. And I just needed to respect, even though it was very difficult, because I think, I'm definitely addicted to love. I don't think I've taken a break from being in a relationship. I'm like a serial monogamist, for better or for worse. I mean, I wouldn't change it to and be like and belittle any of the relationships I've been in, because I think it was worth it. But I mean, I'm definitely a love addict. I think I can't, and I think when I experienced it on the other side, because I think they're both very hopeless feelings, like being left helpless. Being left is a helpless feeling, and leaving is sometimes helpless because you can't help the way you feel that you want to leave. But having seen both, I think it's definitely more helpless being left.
That was my
That's because you can't, like that old Bonnie Raitt song, I can't make you love me if you don't. Like, that is the worst feeling. It's got to be one of the worst ones because it's just, you can't do it. I mean, at least if you're leaving, you could maybe fake it and just whatever. I don't know.
Well, it's funny you say that the latter is worse because I think when it's a mix of emotions. It can be conflicted because you're doing something when you leave someone, you break their heart. You're doing what's right for you, and I think that can be a joyous, positive emotion. But then you also know that you're like wrecking this person.
Yeah, like it's a very, very heartbreaking scenario, but it just is life, it's
Yeah.
that cycle.
Hey, is it true that you wrote Recovery initially for Leona Lewis?
I've been like researching that in my own notes, and I can't tell, but I definitely didn't write it for me at the time. I wrote it all about my situation, but yeah, I was just a writer at the time. It was like right before I went into writing, like when I got signed to Warner Brothers again, and then like started, I think, I mean, I have to, I'm still looking, but it's like, I feel like it's like around that time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it compare when you cut a song that you initially, when you put pen to paper, you wrote it for somebody else, now you keep it? I think of like Ed Sheeran, "Shape of You." It's his biggest record of his career. He wrote that for Rihanna. She didn't want it, and he kept it for himself. How does that compare to when you just write a song initially for yourself? You're keeping it versus.
I don't know, because there's a song on my record called "Dreamer" on this record, and I did that one was like rescued out of the depths too. I was a couple of years old, and I wrote it with and for another artist that's like unknown artist, and but I remember it was all about my ex, and I and then my publisher sent it to me, and I thought it was an outside song, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I feel like I wrote it, but like I'm not interested in outside songs. He's like, you wrote it, but she was singing it, so I didn't really remember because I let go of those like very quickly. You know, like when I write for someone else, I don't like, worry about it. You know, I mean, I've never even gone home from a session and been like to my manager, like, I should have keep this song. Maybe you want to tell them I don't want again. But there's no, you don't have really that much control over that. But I mean, unfortunately, most songs don't find their way through when you write them, for whoever. It's like the bigger percentage of songs never get cut or never see the light of day.
Speaking of the songs that did make the cut on this record, Heart to Mouth, you started working this like maybe early 2017 or at least 2017 last year. What's the earliest idea that maybe you collected for the record that made it onto the final?
Oh gosh, I mean, well, Recovery is like the oldest song.
That's the oldest
but
one.
I think the first song that I really did was Girls Go Wild. That was, I came home from tour and I went out to the desert, out to Joshua Tree to write songs that weekend. And it was kind of a little bit of an issue in my present relationship. Like, you just got home. You're going to Joshua Tree, my favorite place in the world, with your producer and to write songs. I'm like, I am. Yes. And so I don't know. It was just like one of those, that was probably the first one. And a song called The Power.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Super early on. Speaking to your producer, did you talk about Mike Del Rio?
Yes.
Now he has some pretty high-profile credits to his resume. Talking to Eminem, X Ambassadors, just to name a few. Those are hip hop leaning or just bona fide hip hop acts with a darker, maybe heavier sound. What do you like working with Mike so much?
I work with Mike Del Rio and Nate Campany, and I don't know. I think we just have a chemistry. It's almost like I call them my at-home band, my studio band, because we like. I think it's just. There's something about, again, it's like a band, so it's like something about people knowing you and you knowing them and trusting their instincts with yours. Like, like there's a smile that Nate has on his face when I'm doing melodies and stuff that, just makes me want to do more. And like, I can tell, like, I know it's something, when he looks a certain way. And I don't know, we feed each other's creativity and we're very open.
So is it more about maybe them personally and their personality than it is, and maybe just the rapport that you have personally than it is about the kind of music they work on?
Yeah, because I feel I'm super eclectic, in even my own songs, on my own albums. I really go pretty, I just let it go where it goes, I've always had trouble explaining what genre my stuff is, and I feel really happy about that now because I don't. Can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't give a shit. I could not give a shit, not give a fuck it. Right there, you go. Is that
Use
enough?
all of them.
I was all bunged up from not cursing for like 15 minutes. But yeah, I feel like I can. I there's a wide breadth of things I can allow myself to do, and they also are eclectic, people. So it brings out the best in us, I think.
How early on in the process did the title come clear to you?
Oh, I said that in an interview somewhere in the last year and a half or so about how I felt about it because someone was asking where the songs come from and where I start, and I usually start melodically. And I often like to have a title or like some words first, but I like to get the melodies. The melodies have to shoot out first, after we get the music down. But and I said, yeah, it's just this thing like when I can feel it in my heart, and just like it just usually all my songs are like the first or second pass I do for melodies, and I know that that's like straight from my heart because it just comes out,
Yeah.
And then I just thought it was a cool title.
No, it definitely is. And I think the big takeaway from people that have heard the music is that you're really shooting from the hip on this one. But what was curious to me is that, and this is obviously not a necessity as an artist these days, but on a record that is so transparent and so honest, why were you so adamant about staying away from politics and wanting to leave that out of art?
Some songs didn't make this record. This is also like, there's only so much time in a day, especially with what I'm doing. So there's a couple songs that didn't make this record, you know, and I was a little bit disappointed because one of them in particular called Churches, which will go on the next record, didn't make it. And, you know, that was like kind of my political statement for this record. I think you can't, for me, I can't force political songs or whatever, you know. I mean, I think, you know, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with like writing about emotions and relationships. It's just, you know, wherever you're at, you know, and there's plenty of people that you can go to for political songs that get it right. But I've heard people try to like force, you know, like force feed a little political enlightenment on people, and if it's not right, it's not right. So
Yeah, it's got to be authentic for
Yeah.
sure. What's one song we have not heard, or maybe the fans haven't heard off this record that you're really excited for them to get on December 7th?
Oh gosh, I think One Night in the Sun feels really, really cool to me. I think it's a song called Special that I wrote about. A friend of mine, Renato Lopez, was murdered in Mexico. A really good friend of mine, and I wrote that about him. And I was like kind of a dark spot, you know, in my life in the last couple of years. And I never got to, I was away in the middle of doing all these shows, and it just threw me for a loop, you know. It's like the first time I ever lost a friend in that way, you know. And so yeah, that song Special is pretty cool, and it's kind of a super rock moment for me.
Nice.
But I don't know, there's a ton of songs on this record I'm excited for people to hear. I feel very I don't know what's going to happen with this record as you know, like no one does. But I feel you know, I feel good about it. It feels like it's where I'm at right now and what I had time to do, you know.
Yeah. Or like you've said in the past, if they like it, that's great. If they don't,
Yeah,
F
fuck
it.
it. There you go.
All right, well, we've got these great fans in attendance, and we're going to get to a couple questions right now. The first is going to come from over here. No, I lied. It's going to come right over here.
Hello, my name is Anna, and I would like to say that you have such a beautiful voice and style. Who is your favorite singer or artist who inspired you the most?
There's so many, I mean, but gosh, I mean, I think probably Freddie Mercury is like one of my favorites. I feel, and or Roy Orbison, somebody like that. Just like a lot of, just like these like live wire emotion singers, almost like with a little bit of an operatic bend to them. You know, that kind of stuff speaks to me because I like the mixing of like a classical sound almost in a rock format. You know, so yeah, thanks.
Great question. We have time for one final one. It'll come from right over here.
Hi.
Hi.
Similar to that, you mentioned writing songs for people other than yourself, and I'm wondering who is somebody that you'd really like to collaborate with in the future?
I don't know. That's such a hard question, and you know, I should get better at it because people often ask me that question. But I don't know. You know, I feel like that person is coming to me more so. Like not, you know, it'll just happen. You know, but I do love Bruno Mars. You know, I think he's just one of the greats of our time. You know, and I love his voice. I love his, you know, his depth. He's cool.
What about Noah? You and Noah Cyrus. Do you have a song out?
I love
You
Noah Cyrus. Yeah, she
working on a song?
she was
What-
kind enough to include me. I didn't write the song Punches, but she asked me to sing it with her, and I was honored. It was really cool. I love her new EP.
Yeah,
It's sick.
that is cool.
Yeah.
How'd you find out she was a fan?
She told me. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how. I think we hit each other on Instagram or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she. I was just kind of like, really? Oh wow, cool. And I heard she had sung my song Switchblade at her shows
Yeah.
sometimes. And then yeah, we want to write together. We just haven't had time, but yeah, it was really cool icebreaker. Her having me sing on her beautiful song. I love it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's very cool.
Fortunately, we're out of time right now. That's all we got for today. But thank you so
That's
much
cool.
for stopping by.
This thing is heavy, man.
Is it heavy yet?
I've been like,
I guess I'm used to it.
yeah. Damn.
All right, well, guys, thanks so much for watching at home, I should say. And remember, Heart to Mouth out everywhere December 7th. We'll see you soon.